Let's do a quick comparison and contrast of the Sub 2Ks, Gen 1, Gen 2. I've got two out on the table here, Kel Tec Sub 2K 9mm, Gen 1 and Gen 2. So let's take a look at Gen 2 first. At the front end, we've got the old sighting system. This was the weak part of the Kel Tec. This sighting system was not very reliable, not very durable. Had a little blade in there that was questionable. Had these two screws that you would screw in and out, left and right, to get your windage adjustment, and then you would raise that sight post up and down for your elevation adjustment. Not too reliable. I upgraded this front end with the tandem cross replacement parts, the two screws and the sight blade, and still had to do some other issues to get it to work. Today it works good. It's not threaded and there's no adjustment. On the Gen 2, the Gen 2 has two varieties of front sights. This is the newer variety, and the newer variety has this lock nut right here. So you can spin that lock nut off and supposedly take the sight off. I haven't, nor wouldn't I. Would I do that? But it's there. That's how you know you got the upgraded Gen 2. And it comes with a threaded barrel and a nut protector, thread protector here. And the sight post is more AR-ish with a little post in there. It's still not quite 100%. As you can see, that sight is slightly canted to the left. That's what I had to do to get the gun zeroed in there. It's slightly canted to the left. However, that shoots on zero at 35 yards. So ideally, I would like to take this sight off, cant it, center it, and then reshoot the gun, re-zero it. But that's a lot of work, and I don't think I'm going to do that. So moving on to the forend. The forend of the Gen 2, Gen 1 here rather, was kind of plain. Not much you could do with it. You could sort of kind of attach a few attachments to it via some Kel Tec products, but you were kind of limited here. What you would need to go with is an aftermarket front end if you wanted to do any attachment of lights or scopes or aim points or something like that, but you're kind of limited. Over here on the Gen 2, lots of opportunities. You got pick rail bottom and top and M-bus along each side, and you can see the barrel in there. That's kind of cool. Same length barrel. Lockup and receivers all the same, pretty much the same on both models. I posted an earlier video where I added this little shell deflector here to my Gen 1 because the Gen 1 would toss the empties so far out I couldn't find them, and I'm a reloader, so and conscientious about where I shoot, and so anytime I want to go and be shooting, I would like to pick those empties up, and good for the environment, right? Clean up after myself, plus reload them. And this thing was kind of a nuisance to shoot because it tossed the shell casings 25-30 feet out to my right. Had a really difficult time finding them. But put that little shell deflector, you can see my earlier video on how I made that. Meant to do it on the Gen 2, but after shooting it, happy to report, this doesn't have the same problem. It tosses the shell casings out reasonably 4 or 5 feet out to my right. So that's very reasonable. So I'm not going to do my ghetto shell deflector upgrade on this one. I'm just going to leave it the way it is. Grip was a little different. It's got that alligator grip, that Kel Tec alligator grip Gen 2. Gen 1 over here is just more of a aggressive sandpaper-like. Triggers are both horrific. If you're a trigger snob, if you like good triggers, these are not the guns for you. Triggers are really bad. After time and shooting them, they do kind of smooth out and kind of turn into like double action revolvers. So that's kind of where you end up. There's no definite break point. You just pull, 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 and then snap, the gun fires. Receivers and charging handles are all about the same. No big difference there. However, you get back here to the buttstock. I've added the Kel Tec upgrade on the buttstock here to try to get a little extra length to pull. I'm kind of a bigger guy, about 6'3", so I wanted a little extra length to pull. That buttstock has mixed reviews. It works, but it falls off. Great, right? Works great, but then it falls off all the time. So what I did is I went ahead and got in here and put some red Loctite on the mechanisms that hold it in, and now can report it does not fall off. It stays put. Locking mechanism is a little different. When you fold the gun, it latches a little differently, but still functionality. However, this locking mechanism on Gen 1 could be locked. So you could fold the gun in half and with a special tool lock it to where it stays in half and you couldn't unlock it. I never really found much of an advantage to that. I don't know that I even have the tool anymore. I'm sure I do somewhere in one of my miscellaneous boxes. But it could be locked. Gen 2 over here does not lock. When you close the gun, swing it around the lock position, it's just going to snap into place. However, Gen 2 does have an adjustable rear stock. you can adjust it 3 different positions by pushing that pin out and get it to adjust the original, medium, or long. I've got it set on the long, and it does allow you to close the gun. It does not interfere with closing the gun, so that's really nice. And you've got some attachment holes here for straps and whatnot. When you get the Gen 2, you're going to get a Magpul 9mm magazine here. Functional, works great, but it's not Glock, okay? You don't have the Glock witness holes. And the base plate's a little different. I've got this one pulled off to show you. The base plate's a little different, so you probably most likely cannot get a +2 base plate onto this one. So you're stuck with the 17 round capacity on this magazine. Of course, this is the Glock magazine. This is the Glock 17 variety, Gen 2 Sub 2000. It works. It's good. It's reliable, functional. I don't have any problems with it. It's plastic. It's not the same quality as a Glock, but it works. It works good. However, you cannot put a +2 base plate. Back in the day with the Gen 1s, you could you could put a +2 base plate on theirs because they actually gave you a true Glock 17 mag. This is a true Glock 17 mag that came with Gen 1s. I have it loaded here. This is just out of my ammo box. I wasn't going to take the rounds out of it. And I'm not going to load the gun or anything, but okay, so there's some rounds in that magazine. So it was a true Glock 17 magazine, and you can get a +2 base plate, as I did there. But I don't think that's really that big a deal because number one, the Magpul mag works, and number two, I think most people buy this gun for this reason here. You can get the Glock 33 rounders, and that's really what you want to shoot out of this gun, is the Glock 33 rounders. It's very easy to go through 20-30 rounds. It's a lot of fun to shoot, and this is what you want to do. You get these anyway, so I think it's kind of immaterial that number one, you have a non-standard magazine, not the Glock, and number two, you can't put a +2 base plate on this. I don't think that's that big of an issue because after all, most people are going to run the 33 rounder. So final analysis, both guns are good. They both belong to me. I'm keeping both of them. I'm not selling either one of them. Neither one of them is deficient. Neither one of them is necessarily better than the other one. They're just a little different. Obviously the Gen 2's got a little improvements on that handrail, and the front sight works. Of course, the front sight generally worked on Sub Gen 1 here, but was a little bit more difficult to adjust. But Gen 2 works, and a threaded barrel, so that's a big thing there if you're going to put a suppressor on there at some point. So there you go, Gen 2. Oh, one thing about the Gen 2 I forgot to mention, you've got this retainer cup back here. It's not really a castle nut. There are no threads on it. Gen 1's got the same thing right here. In my shooting of the Gen 2, this thing came off. It just came off, and it slid all the way back here and was flopping around. It's not threaded, so what I did was I got back to the shop, got back to my workbench, and I grouped it up on the inside with red Loctite and then smacked it back home pretty good. And I'm happy to report that half a dozen outings or so it has not come off. But there could be an issue here. If that does act up for you or come off, what you're going to have to do, probably what I did, is just put some blue Loctite or red Loctite inside of it and then push it back on and smack it on there pretty good with like a rubber mallet or something like that. It's not threaded. You can't twist it on there. It's pressed on there. And so other than that, I've had really no issues with Gen 2. Hey, but these are Kel Tecs, you know, they're going to be a little finicky. They're going to be a little quirky. They are what they are. They're inexpensive. They're unique, and they're fun to shoot. Maybe not something you want to entrust your life with, but yeah, they're fun. All right, thanks for watching. Like, sub, and comment, please. Thanks. Bye-bye.